NASA has come out and said that humans will prove we are not alone. How many times did NASA find what they believe are the skeletal remains or the imprint of microbes on Mars? And how many times did they then retract it later saying it wasn't? Look, I don't believe we're alone in the universe. Let's be clear about that. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we're not alone on this planet. There's a lot of things going on heaven and earth that we are not privy to. Just look at all the ancient writings. They all mirror each other across the globe. There's definitely some things going on here. And we're not in Kansas, ladies and gentlemen. We're in deep space. Humans will prove we are not alone in the universe, CBS News, within 20 years. The word is, and you can research this with the SETI system, the high-powered radio telescopes that they've had up since the 70s, that they've gotten a lot of transmissions that are not of naturally occurring space chatter coming out of planets and suns and black holes. And let's just hope that whoever's listening is nice. And, of course, I would venture to say that in the Bible it talks about these entities that aren't visible to the eye but are right there around us. And of course, that would fit into the fourth and fifth dimension equations that are out there. And again, I don't mean to go off into the speculative realm here today. When you've got the Pope saying there's aliens and that, that they're prepared for them to come, and you've got NASA saying get ready, and then there's all the original moon footage that didn't get released till later with a whole string of different astronauts saying that their ships were followed by other craft, and then NASA ordered that information suppressed. There's obviously something going on. And again, I've talked to Buzz Aldrin privately, and I've talked to Buzz Aldrin on the air, and Buzz Aldrin's assistant is a listener and did get Buzz Aldrin, second person to walk on the moon, on the show. And then there was quite a freak out after that happened, and he is not coming back on the show. Just like we were 1 micron from getting Chuck Jager on the broadcast till government people found out and got involved, because they don't want these icons coming on the show. But expanding on that, I have told part of the story about Buzz Aldrin. And the only reason I tell this again is because it's so fantastical. I'm out in Hollywood, and I'd already interviewed this person before, Buzz Aldrin, and the phone rings, and this Hollywood star's house I was at was going to be going to dinner with him in a couple days. And I was invited, but I couldn't stay in town. I had to come back. I wish I would have gone now. And they're going to dinner, ended up being on the news. It was on TMZ, to a steakhouse a few days later. And this was about a 30-minute conversation on speakerphone, sitting out over the Hollywood Hills in the classic Hollywood setting with the big pool and the butler bringing, iced tea. Just Matrix-like bizarreness. And I'm sitting up there, and the Matrix-like weirdness is that Buzz Aldrin's on the phone, speakerphone, on an iPhone. It was like an iPhone 1. And he's conversing with this Hollywood star. And I chime in a few times. And he's saying all this wild stuff off record. And then he says, by the way, the Indians in a few months are going to crash a probe into the moon, and they're going to discover water. Of course, we really discovered it there, but weren't supposed to release that info. But just be waiting for that. Folks, it wasn't in the news yet they were going to crash a probe in. And I'm thinking, Buzz Aldrin's nuts at this point. This is how naive I was even then. Okay, about a month later or so, they announced they're going to crash a probe in. And then a couple months later, I'm walking through an airport, and there's USA Today with the cover. Indians discover water by crashing the probe in, and then it sent up the ice crystals. Another probe, that dropped that probe, flew back by and picked up the ice crystals. there's the headline, India's first lunar mission finds water on the moon. But when Buzz Aldrin came on the show, he goes, we need to land a probe on Mars's one moon, and there you'll find the Monolith. And it was probably put there by an advanced intelligence. And that's all I can tell you. Then off air, I'm like, come on, talk more about it. He goes, no, that's all I can say. That's all I can say. And then I have this conversation at Charlie Sheen's house with him. And I mean, it's Buzz Aldrin, folks. A guy that punches people out that says he didn't go to the moon. And of course, I knew Raymond Teague. He died, I guess it was earlier this year or late last year. What a sweetheart he was. You know, he was on the main Mars mission. Main moon missions, ran the RCA cameras on the moon, ran the Skylab cameras, the space shuttle cameras. I mean, he was mission one command. He said, no, we were there. But then he said, I can't tell you the other stuff. It's just you're dead on. It's more advanced. So basically, they've got Tinkertoy missions that they show you, piggybacked with real missions on top of it. And that's what Dr. Bob Bowman, who died about a year ago, nuclear physicist, fighter bomber pilot, Vietnam, just another amazing individual. That's exactly what he said. But the Monolith, and I don't know why I went off on this with all this important news today. It's just that I see the story up on drudgereport.com. It's also up on Infowars.com. NASA, humans will prove we are not alone in the universe within 20 years. Well, whether it's a Bluebeam psyop or whatever it is, I mean, maybe it isn't true. Maybe it's a psyop. You know, Ronald, Reagan, the Pope, they've all been saying, you know, outside aliens will unify us and the rest of it. Kissinger said that for world government. They have UN studies about it. LaRouge wanted to put a space-based system up in the 70s to unify the world around asteroid and comet repulsion or shoot-downs, and thought that was a way to bring the planet together. And that was picked up by the CIA, that plan in the early 70s. That's in the Washington Post, by the way. That's not LaRouge saying that. And it was actually the cover then to put up space planes with a global decapitation system to decapitate state leaders in 1 hour was the plan back in '79, with over 100 of these space planes with DU Sabo decapitator weapons. Again, they can shoot, let's say your base is 2 miles under a mountain, because you can't be 2 miles under sea level because it gets, 150 degrees down there. You got to be under a mountain that's a couple miles high, and then it's 65 degrees. Don't need air conditioning, don't need heating. And they could shoot 2-3 miles right into a mountain with the stuff they had in the 70s. Right through granite with a DU weapon. But there's so much kinetic force that it creates a multi-megaton explosion. And then they throw it in your face with movies like Last Starfighter, where the aliens come in with the meteor guns. And how they're recruiting people with the video games. Turned out that was a Pentagon plan in the 60s. I mean, let me just say this. You're living in Buck Rogers. The public hadn't been told, okay? That's all I'm telling you. Just what I know is off the charts. But there's huge classified space program. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
There's one major factor affecting the health of millions, and most